In this short video, we will show you an example of how a company can go about using these metrics to help estimate the impact their products are having. Established by Efficiency for Access and GOGLA, this is the first time that impact reporting on high-performing appliances is harmonized. As a company or as investor, you often are requested to report on a number of areas by a number of stakeholders. The standardized metrics aim to help you by offering a harmonized and standardized approach to measure impact across the sector. The metrics are set up to be easy and quantitative, with a number of default values based on research and data. Through promoting sector-wide uptake and adoption, the goal is for everyone to use the same approach, making the estimates comparable across the board. This will make it easier for the sector to report impact estimates, to aggregate these estimates on a sector-wide level, and allowing also for a much stronger showcasing of the impact of the sector. So, how can companies use these metrics? Let's take the example of Sunfun, a young company selling a high-performing TV appliance for off-grid use, powered through a solar home system. Sunfun has been requested by one of their investors to report on their impact in terms of environmental sustainability. In particular, the investor wants to know how many greenhouse gas emissions are avoided through the use of the efficient TV instead of a diesel-powered old TV setup. They want to know this information for sales made over the first quarter of the year to include it in their newsletter. Sunfun doesn't have this information prepared, but luckily they found the standardized metrics publication and discovered that they only need to have sales numbers and warranty period information to produce the requested estimate. The publication holds all the information on the formula to calculate impact and explanations on how to use them. It also has details on how to report the estimates and background information on how we got to the value of the established default variables. Let's say Sunfun has sold 1,000 TVs over 3 months and the TV model has a warranty period of 5 years. Sunfun found this formula to estimate how many emissions have been avoided by selling these energy-efficient TVs. The publication breaks down the formula into a number of pieces for easier implementation. The 2 pink variables are the information the company needs to input, sales numbers and product lifetime. In between, you see 3 other default variables. The first one is a ratio that captures what percentage of all TVs on average used diesel as power source. The second part of the formula accounts for products that are lost in the field. There is a default discount ratio for those losses, which is shown here as DL. Those products are subtracted from the full amount of sales to ensure that they are not taken into account when calculating an estimate. And then there is an average greenhouse gas emission factor that has been developed for the high-performing appliance. Inputting all these values will give you an estimate of greenhouse gas emissions avoided. The default variables are established based on data stemming from research, and the value of the default variables can be found in the publication. The expected lifetime of a product is also defined in the paper and is established at 1.5 times the warranty period. Since Sunfun's TVs have a warranty period of 5 years, this means the lifetime of the product is expected to be 7.5 years. We'll input these variables into the formula. The pink represents company inputs and the blue inputs can be found in the paper. This calculation produces an estimate of a little over 23,000 kg of greenhouse gas emissions avoided. Next, Sunfun needs to incorporate this into their reporting. There's a detailed section in the paper that shares for every metric the definition, what makes this metric useful, how to report the calculated estimate, if assumptions have been made when establishing the metric, and any other things that need to be taken into account. When you use the metrics, it's important to familiarize yourself with these details because they might apply to you or should be incorporated into the report for clarity. Background information on the default variables is also available in similar explanation tables in the paper. Now, this is the reporting guidance that is found in the impact statement for greenhouse gas emission avoidance. When we bring in the calculation results, Sunfun is now able to write the following piece of text. Don't forget to add a footnote to describe what the emissions specifically are, along with a reference to the metrics paper. This also helps investors or any other reader know that formulas are used from an established method of calculation. The example of Sunfun is of course very specific, but it should give you some basic guidance on how to use these metrics. Everything you want to know about the impact metrics can be found in the publication, which you can download from our websites. And there you will also find a quick how-to guide on using these metrics. When using these metrics, it's important to keep in mind that the work is based on data that is currently available. With more research becoming available, we can strengthen the default values, update them when necessary, and add more metrics. But because of this, we should always refer to the calculations as estimates. We'd like to thank UK Aid from the UK government for funding of this work. The Efficiency for Access and GOGLA teams behind this work can be reached via the email addresses noted here on the screen. Please feel free to contact us should you have questions or if you would like to share feedback.